Greetings and salutation, all you peoples out there in FAF land. Today, I am fulfilling my promise to bring to you a tutorial series about the people that you find here and there on the client. This is a 1 versus 1 game between I'm going to butcher your name, bud. Please put the pronunciation in the comments, but I am going to go with Knorpsel. If that is incorrect, I do apologize, but I do not know the pronunciation of that word. So this is Knorpsel versus Zlo. I am so sorry, Knorpsel, but this is going to be horrific. All right, what I am going to do is I'm going to start the matchup at normal speed from Knorpsel's point of view. I am not going to look at anything that Zlo is doing, so this is basically a POV cast. And then I am going to basically analyze what is going on to the best of my abilities and hopefully point out some things that could have been improved. Although, to be honest, Knorpsel, this is going to be layman's observations because you are actually a higher 1 versus 1 rank than I am. But this should be a good game to look at nonetheless. Alright, opening build. You are doing first land, second air, which is always a good idea. As Cybran, you have the option to push out an early bomber. You do get your scouting done. It is all well and good, but you are going for 6 P-gens, which means that you will need some manual reclaim to pick up the slack in your build order. And there it is. Well done, good sir. Picking up the rock for mass, picking up a whole bunch of clumps of trees, and on and around. Alright, and manual reclaim on the other side, power and mass. Closing the gap in that build order. That was not the best thing you could have done, running the scout all the way through the trees that you were about to reclaim. That knocked out a couple of manual reclaim spots. Although I do see why you did it, looping around the outside so that you could see if there was anything over there that you had missed. Excellent, excellent eco management. It is a mantis and a scout, not a lab, and then a mantis to the right side, covering your expanding engineer. Good choices all around. ACU to the left side, and getting the absolute maximum that you can out of the adjacency on these P-gens and mass extractors, followed by this number. If I were you, I would set up a slightly more wide-spaced grid. That is decent, but you will still lose potentially 3 P-gens. Although that is a lot better than most people do. Alrighty, good decision there. Seeing more tanks than you would like to take on, so pulling back. I love your eco management. You are floating right in the middle of both storages. Not too much negative, not too much positive, and filling in the gaps with a little bit of manual reclaim here and there. Excellently done. I dare say that you are doing a better job of it than I would. Oh, that was second land, my bad. Huge mistake off of that. 6 P-gens is completely appropriate. I had been wondering why I had not seen the first bomber yet, but you can see how observant I am. Alright. Air Factory is finally up. Scout is headed out. I imagine, yes, there's the ACU. Good spot. He does not have gun yet, and you have more tanks than he does, and then there is a good opportunity on the right side. It looks like, well, you may not be able to press in, but you will at least claim a little more map control, and you will be able to knock out these mexes. Hoping that you saw that bomber. That is dangerous. right there. You did manage to take his expansion over here, but you lost the same expansion. That bomber is going to be the death of you, my good sir. Honestly, with the power proportions that you're running, and since you did have some extra mass at all points, actually you're flashing positive now that you're losing all your build power, I would have thrown up at least one stationary radar, because that would give you excellent coverage here to help being able to see these interceptors coming in, being able to keep track of that bomber, and then also unit movements. Also, you're not mixing scouts in enough. Usually in a situation like this, take my advice for what it's worth, but I would have one of these factories on 5 Mantis, 1 Scout loop. At least. And this is bad right here. Ah, that hurts. Map control rapidly disappearing. I'm going to flash over to Zlo momentarily because I'm curious about his eco. Okay. And the tanks have descended upon your base. And that is probably going to wrap it up. Alright, I'm going to go back to Observer here and we'll just see what is going on here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I believe. Yes, that is 7 land factories. And you had 5. Both of you had an air factory. And up until those run-bys, you had similar eco. Against Zlo, let's all be honest here, not many people stand much of a chance. You actually did pretty well fronting with your ACU and pulling units over to the side. My only suggestions on this would be, number one, I can't select an engineer to see the range. The range of a T1 radar in a situation like this is really good. So a T1 radar somewhere out here, although it could potentially be sniped by a T1 bomber, it would at least give you advance warning of what's coming. I would either do the stationary radar at the front or do a stationary radar somewhere back here with adjacency on your PGens and then mix more scouts in so you can actually see what is going on, because a lot of the time you did get an air scout over, but a lot of the time you were fighting blind. That is one thing that I did notice. The other thing that I noticed is you had an engineer over here, and once you got to this point, everything just came to a screeching halt. You, for a fairly significant amount of time, you had access to building these mass extractors, and you know, mass extractors pay themselves off in 9 seconds, so there's no reason not to build more mass extractors. And then the other thing is reclaim. There are a decent little number of wrecks. I realize in the situation you are in that it would be difficult, to say the least, to manually reclaim, but you could at least use an attack move. And again, here you can see not all of your rocks at the start are reclaimed, and Zlo is picked clean. That was how he was able to field factories. And then the last observation that I have is you were depending a lot on engineers for your build power. You had less land factories and a bunch of engineers, which he easily knocked out with his T1 bombers. Whereas down here we can see basically no engineers. He has 1 or 2 here just for base keeping, and you know, they're reclaiming the trees and doing what engineers do. But for the most part, he had 2 more factories than you did, so his build power was in the factories, which is much harder to kill. So anyone who is 2K rank or higher, especially Zlo, I would love to see Zlo's comments on this video. You may, by all means, correct me if I'm wrong on any of that, but that is my observation for the game. Maybe it will give you something else to look at, and maybe it will teach something to everybody who watches this video. Alright guys, that is the first entry in the tutorial series. I'm going to post this as soon as I can, and thank you guys so much for watching. If you have a replay of your own that you would like me to take care of, you can leave it in the comments below this video. You can go to the FAF forums, to the Help Me I'm a Newbie section, and post there. Or you can email me either on YouTube or the forum. Alright guys, that's going to wrap it up for me. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, see y'all later.